The COYGIG Pod
on Off the Ball
in association with Cadbury, official snack partner of the Republic of Ireland women's national team.
Katie McCabe, a huge goal.
I'm very proud of the team's performance.
We're going to go out there to beat them. We're going to try and beat them.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the COYGIG podcast. I am Kathleen McNamee and I am joined by what the programme at the match at the Aviva called on Saturday, the most respected woman in Irish football, Karen Duggan. Karen, how are you this morning?
Yeah, my mum has a way with words, doesn't she?
But it was impressive, I have to say. It was a very nice little profile of you in that programme. You were pitch side for the game. It was quite a spectacular setting. I mean, a beautiful day. 36,000 people. Couldn't really have asked for much more in terms of the first ever game at the Aviva.
No, it was incredible. I was a bit nervous beforehand when they were saying, you know, we've sold 30 something odd tickets, because we've had that experience before where we're like, Tala's a sellout, and then there's like half an empty stand. But people really came out in force, and it felt really special. I like, from the national anthem to the final lap of honour, I think that was like kind of spine chilling stuff. It felt a bit surreal that the girls were able to achieve that, and it's been a long time coming, and fair play to everyone who turned out and made it such an incredible spectacle, and they got to enjoy a nice 3-0 win, which is always good as well.
I know, it was nice having a big historic moment and a result to back it up that was pretty comprehensive and didn't really have any doubt over it.
I was nervous for the first 20 minutes. I was a bit like, oh God.
Yeah, I think everyone was a little bit. I remember turning, when the team walked out onto the pitch, I turned to Stephen Doyle, who was doing comms with me for Off the Ball, and I was like, it's weird. This doesn't actually feel unusual to me now. Like, having watched the team at those 3 games in Australia, I was like, yeah, no, like, this is the normal. It would actually almost be weirder going back to see them in Tala and in a smaller stadium. And like, as you say, whenever the national anthem was played, I actually think that was even slightly better than some of the anthems in Australia. Like, it's hard to beat that opening game because it was just like so momentous in so many different ways. But like, I definitely had goosebumps by the end, and like could just feel like a little tear in my eye. And I was like, come on, Kathleen, you need to keep this together. But it was just, even walking around the Aviva beforehand, like, one of the things I think you don't really get about Tala, which is unfortunate, is like there isn't really a meeting spot around the stadium for people to kind of, you know, gather beforehand, have a bit of food if you want to have like a drink or something with your mates. You kind of do that in town and then come out to it. Whereas it was so nice walking up to the Aviva and just seeing people out chilling, or like kids sitting on the pavements with their flags or jumping off buses, whatever it was. And like you say, I also had that fear that, especially being in the stadium, and it was like 10 minutes before kickoff and it still looked kind of empty, and I was like, oh no. But thankfully people were just clearly enjoying the sunshine a little bit too much when they were getting themselves in, because like you said, there was that massive crowd there. In terms of the football itself, I mean, I got the team sheet and I was like, oh, Eileen is making her stamp, and so is her management team. What were your thoughts when you first saw it come through?
Exactly that. I think the standout name was obviously Tyler Toland coming back in after enduring a bit of an exile for the last few years, and she came in and she did exactly what she used to do. She was steady, she was composed after the first couple of balls, because the first couple of ones went a bit astray, but that was kind of a theme of everyone, I kind of felt, for the first like, we were starting to build a package on sloppy Ireland, and thankfully we didn't have to use it because we grew into the game. But Tyler did as well, grew into the game. Really, really solid performance, which was great, and it gives us another option there. I think that there's still going to be a point where we can play with 1-6 rather than 2. We're still kind of going to have to feel out what our best shape is, but I do think that this group gives us an opportunity to do that. Looking at Northern Ireland, they didn't pose a huge amount of threat, and I think that this will be one of the more competitive games. They frustrated us for, like I said, 20 minutes, but then, of course, anytime a debutant comes in, you're keeping a keen eye, and was very impressed with Caitlin Hayes' ball distribution. Obviously, we didn't see the backs under a huge amount of pressure in terms of having to defend, but her switch of play is massive to have in our armoury, because that's the only area I felt like we struggled a little bit, was the pace at which we moved the ball. We were a bit predictable going side to side, but when Hayes got it, she was able to completely switch the play, and that'll drag a team out, and it's such a weapon to have, particularly when she's switching it to Katie McCabe, who, you know, is creeping up the pitch on that left hand side. So really, really impressive debut from her. So the centre back, when we've all of our fit centre backs, it'll be an interesting time, because I'm obviously still hopeful that Megan Campbell can come back in. Obviously Aoife Mannion, Niamh Fahey.
There's a lot of competition.
Centre backs and no strikers. We need more. Maybe we can convert a few.
It wouldn't be like an Irish team to have like great defensive qualities and then struggle with a striking team up front. Yeah, no, I actually, when I was doing the commentary, she was one of the people that I had in mind as like a player of the match, because I just think it's so impressive to come in on your debut, perform the way she did. She was clearly the target for a lot of those free kicks and also corners that were coming in. And like I was talking to her afterwards, said that's like very much a role she plays with Celtic as well, always being the tall gal in the group. And I thought it was really nice. Like there's a lovely bit of her speaking about and what an honour it was to line up beside Louise Quinn, who's always been her hero, and how much she hopes she can kind of learn from her. And it was very obvious talking to her that it was a massive deal that she got that call up, and to be able, I suppose, to be thinking about it for so long on the mental side of things, and to feel the pressure of like your whole family there, it's at the Aviva, and to actually be able to put it in a performance, I thought was a really strong quality of hers, as well as what she actually did on the pitch. Because you just spent 2 minutes talking to her, and it was clear that this is something she has dreamed of for a very, very long time.
Well, good. It should be. You know, we shouldn't be surprised by someone who's representing Ireland being patriotic about it and being...
No, it's not surprised though, but it's more like, you know, when you talk to certain people, it's like, it was how... like it was like something that had always been there, and she was so keen to make sure everyone knew that. And I just thought that was really nice, because she could easily just talked about the football, but instead she was like, and I want to emphasize like how Louise has been my hero growing up, and this is important and that was important. And I always like that when a player does come into the fold, and especially if she's slightly older as well, she's 28 I think, the fact that she was like, I want Irish people to know like I'm here for you completely, and I'm so excited for this.
No, that's, I didn't hear any of the interviews after, but it's, again, any talent we can get that's going to add to this Irish team is good, because, you know, it's another 2 years' time, you're talking about Louise, you're talking about Diane, you're talking about Niamh Fahey again. Like, we've always been so stacked in that centre-back area, we've been blessed, but, you know, you have to keep an eye on the future as well. And yeah, she's 28, but that could mean another 4 or 5 years at international level if she looks after herself and she keeps playing the way she did on Saturday.
Yeah, and it's good having someone as well with that little bit of maturity that'll help any younger players that are coming through in terms of their development as well, and hopefully that'll keep the kind of train.
And that's something I'd like to see, because having kind of, I know we'll find out more on Tuesday, but looking at the standard of our group, bringing in the young players to play amongst them will be important, because someone like Abby Larkin, for me, I feel is going to be a huge player in the Euros for us. I think she could be a mainstay in the starting 11, and it's time to like give her more and more minutes and build that up now. And she's going to keep developing now that she's gone pro, but it's just getting used to the international pace and giving her more time with that. Obviously she lit up at the World Cup, so we know she has it in her, but it's a different kettle of fish when there's actually a lot of expectation on you, and she's going to have that now, and that's because she's so talented. But if we give her more and more minutes, she'll learn to manage that really well. So I'd like to see even more of her throughout the campaign, possibly getting a start in 1 or 2 of the games.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things we talked about in our preview on Friday was where the goal's going to come from, and we managed to get 3 of them, and one of them even came from open play. Well, we'll count it as open, even though we're going to count it. She was on top of them enough that they messed up and she scored it, so we're going to take the small wins while they're there card.
Okay.
But in terms of when it comes to that sort of stuff, how do you think we performed overall?
I think it was good that we were getting in the positions to get a lot more crosses into the box, and we were getting bodies in the box. It again, I thought Carusa's movement was very, very good, and she's always offering herself and working extremely hard for the team. The only area of improvement is we can play a little bit more through the middle, and we can get our distances right a bit better so that we can free up Denise. I think we're so used to going long that we need to become more comfortable just bouncing it into the two number sixes so they can drag a player in, bring Denise in behind. Because again, when Denise got the ball, I thought she was phenomenal. Like, you were talking about player of the match, you could easily pick Denise again. And it would have been completely justified. Like, when she did get on the ball, you could just feel a shift in kind of the atmosphere. Like, there was an expectation that something good was going to happen, and it nearly always did. So there's a bit of improvement there. I think not having someone like Risha Littlejohn or Sinead Farrelly, maybe they'd be the type of player who would demand it more off the centre backs. But generally, I thought that crossing was good. I thought Carusa's movement was really good. We can get more shots on target with that amount of possession that we had. But again, Rome wasn't built in a day kind of thing. We have to be fair, like, scoring 3 goals in an international match is very, very good, no matter how they come. And set pieces are always going to be important for us, and they have been in the past. So it was good to score off them. And it was Lucy Quinn, so she did very well. Usually it's the other Quinn that we're looking for from set pieces. But it's good. Again, it's people are going to know that about Louise Quinn. So having someone like Caitlin Hayes, who's very, very strong from set pieces, gives another option, and it allows us to be a bit more diverse in what we do from set pieces. Yeah, Katie shooting from corners. Yeah,
I did love. There was one point where Denise nearly scored a header at the far post, and I just saw a blonde ponytail, and I was like, "Oh, it's Louise," and then I realised it's Denise, and I was like, "That would be an epic way to mark this match, is Denise scoring a header at the far post." Yeah, like, I was trying to think of the last time where we scored multiple goals and kept a clean sheet, and it does feel like it has been quite a while since that has happened. And like, even I think Courtney only really had stuff to do once or twice during the game.
It was a quiet day at the office for the defence.
She got to just like enjoy the scenery, look at the crowd.
That's good, because she's had some very busy days where she's kept finished almost single-handedly, so she deserved a nice day in the sun.
This is very true. We will definitely let her have it. And then looking ahead to tomorrow, so we play Hungary at 6:30 tomorrow evening. Like you said, you kind of feel like this group, we should control it quite easily. I thought going into it that Northern Ireland was going to be our biggest test, and I did think they would offer up a little bit more. I have to say they were a lot poorer than I was expecting in a lot of areas.
I think the big pitch kind of exposed them a little bit as well. But I mean, credit to Ireland there as well, I suppose. But look, they're in a period of transition as well. They have a new manager, and I think she's going to be a very good appointment, but it's going to take time. And when you put it in perspective, we always talk about how much of an underdog we are, but there's 20 odd places between us and Northern Ireland, and we spoke about how brilliant it is that everyone's a professional now on the Irish team, and they don't have that set up. So you have to give them credit for what they've done before, that people have built this expectation of them that they would come to a game like the Republic of Ireland and compete.
And I think it is right that we did have that going into it, in the sense that, they did qualify for Euros when we failed to do it. Yeah. So they did, they put their money where their mouth was at that stage, but I can understand now why we have progressed a little bit past them, and hopefully that continues. So yeah, like I said, I very much felt like that was going to be the most competitive match, but also you could never really take any of these things for granted.
I think it'll be a different match against Hungary. I think it'll be a lot scrappier. I think Hungary will set up to frustrate us and, kick us and stuff like that. And I think that we have to be prepared for that now as well, because we have a bit of profile in this group. Obviously, we do have profile. We do it to other teams that are ranked above us. It's going to be done to us now. So it'll be interesting to see how we kind of cope with that. And I spoke about it. Something we need to get comfortable with is being the favourites and being the dominant team in possession, and it's something we've struggled with in the past. So while it will be better to be in Group A and obviously playing against higher ranked teams, this gives us the opportunity to become more comfortable in those games, because you're always fearing those games against Slovakia and the likes of them, and they've never been showstopper games when we have played them. So this is a good opportunity for that, this group.
And you mentioned earlier about the fact that like these are maybe the sort of games to kind of give some game time to younger players. Are you changing your starting 11, or are you kind of like bringing them in after like an hour, 70 minutes sort of thing?
With Abby, at some point, I would certainly start her. It's hard. Again, it's always going to be hard to change a winning formula, and Eileen's going to want to continue on with the winning streak. But and obviously Lucy Quinn scored, so she did very, very well. She could have had a couple actually. So, and she worked extremely hard. So it would be hard to take her out, because that is the position you would probably look to put Abby in. But it would be good, I think, just because Eileen is head of women's development, so she should be the person who thinks about these things as well. So maybe not in the second game where we're still kind of settling into the group, but at some point when we've kind of sussed the opposition and we say, okay, right, well, we are a dominant team no matter what starting 11 we play. I think that there will be opportunity to make some changes to it. But yeah, I think even subs could be made earlier. Not like pre-prescribed ones, which we saw in Australia, where we randomly take
what you're talking about
for no reason, even though she's the best player on the pitch. I wouldn't be saying something like that, but I'm excited to see more players, because again, the bench wasn't something we overly utilised in our previous campaign, but we couldn't, because of the calibre of opposition. We had to keep things very steady, but I think there is opportunity here for that.
Abby is probably the obvious one to give a bit of game time, but is there anyone else there that you would like to see more of?
I mean, in the current squad, it's not a huge amount. I'd like to see more of Emily Whelan, because she was around a good few years ago and she was brilliant and showed a lot of promise. But I think there's a lot of players to come back in that I'm excited to see. I'm excited for Jess Sue to come back. I'd like to see, like I said the last day, Ellen Malloy, Erin McLaughlin, Tara O'Hanlon. I think that there'd be Jamie Thompson possibly. There's opportunity to bring them in and just see, and without putting a huge amount of pressure on them. I mean, there'll be games away to Hungary and Albania and stuff like that. I mean, it's not going to be a huge amount of eyes on those games, and it takes the pressure off those girls a little bit as well, which is a good thing. So I think there's a lot to come back in after injury, which would be good. In this camp, just more Emily Whelan, more Abby Larkin. Who else is around that's young? There's more to come from the squad. I think we've did really well. Like, we have a massive injury list. When I actually read it the other day, I was a bit like,
there's practically a starting 11 there.
Yeah, I was like, I think I'm a bit nervous about this game, but thankfully, I mean, all the mainstays were still there and they still performed really well.
And having experienced a big day at the Aviva, do you think there's more of a case now for being there more regularly?
There has to be. I mean, there absolutely has to be. We have to obviously prove that we can do it more than once by there being a huge demand for Tala and completely selling Tala out.
But do we have to?
Tala.
Do we have to do that? Like, you've proven that you can get 36,000 people, and I feel like there's such a difference in the Aviva in the sense that like it's in the centre of town, it's easier to get to. Like, I feel like more people have more of an association with the Aviva as well, because they've seen
you're right. I think my opinion of it has definitely changed, because I was like, God, we've never sold a Tala. Like, why would we change to the Aviva? But it is the old build it and they'll come thing. And you're right, it's the home of Irish football, and this is a trailblazing team, a team that has garnered support far and wide. So I think,
like, if you look how close they've been to selling out Tala, like, so only never been like 500-600 tickets. It's not,
Yeah. But it was also brilliant that it was kind of like a midday on a Saturday and it didn't clash with the rugby and stuff like that. Like it would be incredible if we could kind of make it our home. It was so enjoyable. I felt like it was really, really special, but I think it has to become the norm now. I think we have to show that this, I think, the FAI or whoever the decision makers are here have to say, yeah, this is our full backing, and that means you deserve to play in the national stadium. I always loved playing in Tallaght because it's a great pitch and it's enclosed and you can build an atmosphere there. But it's fantastic to say that we've potentially outgrown it. I hope we've outgrown it.
Yeah, and I just think that, like, as you say, it's that thing of like, build it and people will come and it'll grow. And I think that there's so much opportunity to market the Aviva as like an exciting place for people to go. Like I was saying, the fact that, like, you know, you're close to town, you can like do stuff beforehand. Like, that's the one thing that I loved about the crowds in Australia was like, obviously, like, it's great seeing kids there and that's like really, really important and stuff. But like the crowds were definitely more skewed towards like people our age and stuff, and because of that the atmosphere was totally different to,
that's it. If I
excited kids screaming, there was actual chants and stuff, and like I'm not taking away from one because that's really important, but like it's great to have a little bit of both as well. And probably rather than constantly marketing this team to younger people, also saying to adults, like, this is just like a good crack, like it's a good day out.
Yeah, like one of my favourite things to do would be after work to stroll across to the Aviva, have a pint with my pals and then go and watch the international team, men's team. Mm-hmm. So that should be an option for the women, and I know a lot of people would totally get on board with it. Like, it's a great stadium. It's always a good atmosphere when it's there. So I think they have to trial it. Like, certainly think if we win this group and we are playing higher profile games, absolutely it has to be there.
Definitely. That was the only thing that I was like, oh, now is not the time for us to be in the group that we currently are. Like,
also not great that we're going to be playing like Albania at a weird time on a Friday in Tallaght. Like, that's bad traffic, bad game. Bad.
I just love the final bad. No, but as you say, if we get out and imagine there is like playoffs happening or there's like higher opposition coming, you feel like you'd have to do it. Imagine that Sweden game with like the caliber of players they have, but it's in the Aviva. Or imagine like coming up against France, and I know like it was a warm-up game for the World Cup, but those sort of players.
That game should have been in the Aviva. Looking at yesterday, that game should have been in the Aviva to give the girls the experience before they went to Australia of that kind of atmosphere. I thought that was one of the things that stood out to me. I think seeing it and seeing the crowd that actually came in, I think that we could have given that to the girls before we sent them off. Great that they have had it as a homecoming, but I think the experience actually could have really stood to them.
Yeah, I agree. And I also don't agree. Like, I had a few people say that those 36,000 people have just turned up since the World Cup. And I was like, no, I don't think so. I think these are people that have always been there. It's just that we're actually giving them all an opportunity to gather in one massive spot for once. Like, those hardcore fans have been there for a long time, and maybe some of them have joined over the course of the World Cup qualifying and the tournament itself. But yeah.
Look, everyone's welcome.
Everyone is welcome indeed. Well, Karen, thank you very much as always. I hope you enjoy the game tomorrow, and we will be back this week to reflect on it and also look ahead to the WSL season, which is starting this weekend. You're not playing in the league this weekend, are you?
No, we have a bye this weekend.
Yeah, so you have plenty
and relax and put pressure on everyone else.
Yeah, you can just enjoy your lead at the top and also catch
There is
up.
nothing enjoyable about this, Kathleen. I'm very stressed all the time.
Oh, I can imagine. I just like to say it to you because I know it probably even stresses you out even more.
Yeah, it does.
And I should ask as well, how do we rate Emma Byrne's first ever coaching lineup in a
bang average? Wouldn't bring her back. Give her the boot so she comes back to us. No, I'm delighted. I'm delighted for Emma. Like, I was looking at her like lining up all the cones and stuff before the game, and her and Eileen standing beside each other. Like, the height difference was really funny. But no, I think it's brilliant for them. I think that they will bring the atmosphere that this team needs in order to settle after everything. They bring the right temperament to the right protection to the players, and like I said, it's very exciting. I can't wait to talk to her about it.
Yeah, me too. She needs to come back quickly so we can get all the gossip from her about the camp and the like. We get our very own version of like Rush's RuTube, except it's like via MS, and Rusha wasn't in camp this time around. Well, as I said, thank you very much, Karen. We will be back during the week to provide you with plenty more on women's football, both here and across the water in England. The COYGIG Pod on Off the Ball, sponsored by Cadbury, official stock partner to Republic of Ireland women's national team. Thank you very much for listening.
The COYGIG Pod on Off the Ball, in association with Cadbury, official snack partner of the Republic of Ireland women's national team.
Katie McCabe, a huge goal.
I'm very proud of the team's performance.
We're going to go out there to beat them. We're going to try and beat them.